Views expressed by Camaplan podcast guests may not reflect those of Camaplan. Camaplan does not guarantee the accuracy of information provided by guests, nor does it endorse or recommend any individual or organization. Camaplan is not an investment advisor, CPA, realtor, or attorney. You are encouraged to conduct your own due diligence before making investment choices. For any tax, legal, accounting, investment, or other questions, please consult a specialist. Hi, I'm Michael Duncan, and welcome back to The Road to Financial Freedom. This podcast is brought to you by Camaplan, a self-directed IRA administrator focused on educating investors on how to grow retirement savings faster through alternative investments. In each episode, we're going to take an in-depth look at many of the roads taken to financial freedom and how they differ for each of our guests. Our goal is to help the listeners learn how they can achieve their own financial freedom through the experience and stories of experts that have done just that. Today's guest is an Ivy League educated real estate entrepreneur and coach. He founded 24/7 Cashflow University with the goal of teaching students how to escape their 9-to-5 job by creating passive income through rental properties. I'm very excited to welcome Brian Grimes to the show today. Brian, how are you doing?
Doing good. Can't complain.
Yeah. And you're East Coast like me. We're both from the Philadelphia area, so not a lot to complain about out here except the cold at the moment.
Oh yeah, it's freezing. It's in the 20s now. Once it gets into the teens, that's when I kind of hibernate for the season.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And it's just like it's so all over the place too. You know, you wake up, you go outside one day, it's 50 degrees, and you're like, wow. That's kind of nice. And the next day you wake up, it's in the teens. It's
all over the place. Yeah.
I really don't blame people that flee for warmer weather this time of year.
Yeah, exactly. You do the snowbird where you go down south for the winter. No, there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah.
So trying to create a fun segue into our main topic today. Speaking of houses in multiple places, see what I did there. Like I said, Brian is an expert in real estate. He's got a history of teaching and creating his own passive income through rental properties. And so I would love to just learn a little bit about, I guess, how you got here. You started with financial planning, then you moved to high net worth asset management. So what was that whole road like to getting to where you are now?
I mean, I think it was always focused on real estate, but I was doing these other jobs because they had like what I was looking for, but real estate just had more of it, right? So when you get into financial planning, you want to help people. So you want to, consult and help people with their finances, but you also want to be your own boss. You want to call your own shots, make your own schedule. So when I first started working, I was working 100% commission. So I had a lot of that freedom in terms of schedule creation, eating what I killed in terms of commissions, but and also building residual income, right? So a lot of financial planners, they'll build up a book of business, and that book of business will kick off some type of residual income. But real estate was just more of that direct path. So while I was working as a financial planner in Philly, driving around, I'm looking at properties and figuring out ways to save money and invest in properties. And I just kept doing that over and over again until the real estate got so big that I was able to work myself out of the 9-to-5 and jump into real estate full time.
So I didn't realize that you had already started doing the real estate, basically, I guess, right out of like the portion of your life that was mainly education. And once you got a full-time job, you had already started doing the real estate stuff. Yeah,
the real estate was the goal. Like I had friends who were in real estate. I had mentors who were in real estate. One of my mentors is like business partners with Magic Johnson, TD Jakes, and some like, bigger celebrities, and does commercial deals all across the country. But I knew that real estate was going to be that avenue. It was going to provide stability because I was working 100% commission. So I needed like that steady check that was just going to come in first of the month, every month, like clockwork. And real estate was going to be that. So as I was working, I was always doing the technique called like paying yourself first. So out of every check, I would take 10% and just put it in a separate account, knowing that once it grew to around $20,000, I was going to deploy that into real estate. So I just kept paying myself first, increasing that from 10% to 20% to 30%. And once I got that amount of money, I dumped it right into a FHA on a multifamily property, a house hack, and got my first deal and just never looked back and just kept doing that over and over again until I picked up enough properties.
So how long did it take you not only to, I guess, get started, once you started paying yourself first, but also how long did it take you to fully leave that 9 to 5 job environment?
So it took me about 2 years of like saving and planning to get that amount of money up and be in that position, do enough research, go see enough properties, go into the bank and get laughed out of the bank because your credit's horrible and you don't know what you're doing. So you have to go through all of these different iterations. And it took me, I guess if I started maybe in 2011, it took me maybe 5 to 7 years to just get out of the 9 to 5 completely. So I retired myself from the 9 to 5 at age 30 by just going straight into real estate, which is a blessing, but it was an aggressive, push. So I definitely went after it and got into full gut renovation and some of the things that I, teach my mentees how to do, the BRRRR strategy. And that was what really accelerated me over the years. But it was a gradual growth, but that curve is really a exponential curve. So it's not a straight line. It really takes off as you get more momentum and more traction.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, it's like I first hear you say like 5 to 7 years, and I'm like, wow, it's a long time. Then I think about it, it's like, well, it's not really that long. And on top of that, I have a weird feeling that those first, 2 to 3 years were a very different feeling and output from the last, 3 to 4 years. And exactly what you said, that exponential growth, because as you're getting more money, you're able to put more money back into it. And instead of, I guess, spending 2 years to get your first property, I mean, I'm sure you had your second property in a quarter of that time.
Yeah, it was like 6 months, right?
Exactly.
So first deal, 2 years, next deal, 6 months, next deal, maybe another 3 or 4 months. And, I've had years where I've done over 100 deals in a year. So the exponential growth is really there. It gets easier and easier. It's just about sticking with it and putting in the work. So, I tell people the truth because we live in this immediate gratification, era with the technology. You have like YouTube shorts now. People don't even want to watch things for longer than 10, 15 seconds. But you have to put in your work. If you put in your work, you will get faster and better, and everything will get easier over time.
Yeah, I mean, you've been very consistent about one thing for this very short conversation so far, and that's you're putting in 100%.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think you would have gotten to where you are by age 30 if you hadn't been putting in 100% the whole time. I mean, that's incredible. It's very impressive. And so how do you think your history of being in financial planning and asset management and coming from, I believe it was Columbia University. Is that true? How does all that culminate in helping you make that quick change in your life to, being out of the 9 and 5?
I think it was, definitely having the mentors, having people who are doing things in finance and making tons of money. It motivates you. It keeps you focused and tapped in. So I had just great mentors from Columbia, and that kept me like super focused. I'm a basketball guy, grew up in Philly, the Allen Iverson era.
Oh, yeah.
Grew to be about 6'4", 6'5" by 14, nationally ranked. First game, they flew us out to Akron University to play LeBron.
Wow.
For the first high school game. So it's like having all of those experiences as well. When I made the transition into the business world, into finance, I knew delayed gratification, putting in hard work and staying consistent, staying focused, because I used to suck at basketball. And then I became nationally ranked from staying micro-focused on this one thing and keeping the main thing. So I usually am a person that would just stay very locked in and keep pushing past those first couple of no's. No matter what, you're going to hear no maybe 4 or 5 times in this real estate game before you get your first yes. Yes, we'll fund the deal. Yes, we'll increase the rent for the tenants and get them approved. Yes, we'll get these tenants out and file and get that eviction done for you. You have to keep pushing through a lot of barriers. And I just had that stick to itness from sports that paid off. I would say even more than being like a Columbia or Ivy League grad and having the mentors. It was really the sports background that just gave me that discipline. So anybody who's good at sports or played sports at any level, middle school, high school, whatever level you played at, if you take that discipline and apply it to real estate, you can become a millionaire.
So that is a quote that I'm going to put somewhere in my room, I think. I did play a little basketball myself. I was not nearly as good as being able to play LeBron in high school. And by not nearly as good, I mean maybe 1% of that good. But I enjoyed it. I love the game. I love football as well. But I do want to go back to that for just a second. So you played LeBron when you both were in high school?
Yeah, I was a freshman. He was a junior. And I mean, you remember back kind of to these times where it's like, YouTube
Everyone
wasn't built out. Yeah, well, everybody knew him, but nobody knew him because YouTube didn't really exist at this time. So there was no way to see him. You had to get a VHS tape and like watch this guy. So the best imitation of LeBron we had was one of my coaches who's like 5'4", 250 pounds, like 60 years old. And he gets the basketball and he's like, this guy, LeBron, he's going to rip baseline and tomahawk dunk on you. And he's like acting it out. And we're looking at him laughing because, you know, you have to imagine my team. I have 3 All-Americans. I got a 6'7" guy, goes to UVA, shooter, right? Like shoots the lights out of the ball. I got a 6'8" guy, 240, going to Duke, lefty. And he was like Duke's 6th man, the milkman, Lee Melchione.
Oh, okay.
And I got a 7-foot center, Ted Scooches. He goes to Vanderbilt. I mean, the guy's freaking huge. And I'm like, they're all seniors. So I'm coming in like, this guy's a junior. He might be good, but is he better than 3 All-Americans? 6?
True.
Like we have an NBA front line. So, but no, he was a beast. He was unbelievable. As high as he could jump, even now at 38. Yeah. I mean, this guy could fly at 17, 18, chest at the rim. I mean, just things I wish they had more footage in YouTube back then, because what people would see now, it dwarfs your favorite high school player or college. It dwarfs it. It dwarfs it.
I wish the listeners could see your face when you were like, was he really that good? And then it just got very, no, he was. Yeah.
Oh, he was. Yeah. It's serious as a heart attack.
I mean, he's like the one prospect that was touted to be what he is. I mean, he was touted to be the next Michael Jordan, the possible best player of all time. And he literally didn't disappoint, which is just, it never happens. You see people tout it all the time. So I can't imagine like maybe your feelings. It would have been like the next year he's showing up on like Sports Illustrated covers and stuff. And it's like, the next Jordan. And you're just like, wow. Yeah, no, I guess he was that good.
No, he was. And he put in work. Like that's the thing people don't always appreciate about LeBron. Like he has definitely natural talents and gifts, but he puts in that work. He gets in the gym. And even back then, he was putting in a lot of work that, high school kids were out partying and not putting in.
Yeah. And so to reel back in the tangent I took, that I think what you said is a really good point. And you see it in LeBron and in a lot of other pro athletes when they're adventuring with like these second sources of income. LeBron has a whole production company now, and, he's starring in Space Jam 2 or whatever. Those things don't happen if you don't have that discipline and that work ethic. And I think you're right, where a lot of people, if you're successful, especially if you're successful at sports at a young age, like you do learn that. And that is what it takes, I would assume, to be your own boss and really control your source of income from bottom to top and be completely on the hook for your own future in a lot of ways.
Yeah, you have to become obsessed. You have to become obsessed, right? Because when you're your own boss, there's nobody to blame but you for a lack of success. And that's a lot of pressure for a lot of us. You have to be self-motivated. You have to get up and want it and go after it. And you have to create a routine that keeps you locked in. So it's a lot of us wish for that. Oh, I wish I was my own boss and I could call my own shots. But there's definitely to he who much is given, much is expected. Yeah. And that expectation is that you will wake up and show up every day and put that 100% in or 110% in every day to get to your goal.
Yeah, it's great in theory, but it's not always the easiest thing in the world. Like, it's not made for everyone. I mean,
it's not made for everyone.
It's not always easy. And so it sounds like a lot of this kind of goes into one of the other topics I wanted to talk about, which is the idea of building a winning mindset. That's something that you said you were very passionate about talking about. And I would love to just hear, I guess, kind of what that means to you and also how it relates to everything that you're doing through real estate.
Yeah, like I said, it kind of relates to hearing no a lot. The winning mindset is a fail forward mindset. It's constantly pushing past your barriers. Sometimes you might even look at it in the short term and say, "Oh, that was a failure." Like maybe the project that you tried to do the rehab on, the numbers didn't work out how you wanted it to, and you ran over budget a little bit, and you're disappointed with that deal in the short term. But in that failure, what did you learn? You learn how to go through a project. You learn what the cost shouldn't be. You learn how to maybe cut more corners or pull your costs down or manage your contractors better. And if you stick with it long term, the lesson you learn from that early disappointment can make you $1,000,000 if you get the value out of those lessons. And a lot of the times, early on, when we make these mistakes, they're very small mistakes. They're a couple $1,000s. It's painful. I had a contractor run off with $40,000 on my first full gut renovation project. That was very painful. But the lessons and value that I got from that were worth $400,000 or $4,000,000, because it was applied over and over again.
Yeah.
I never got burned again. And now my mentees never get burned because of the value that I got from that lesson. So not only did it help me, but I was able to apply it to others. So that's part of that winning mindset, is getting value out of every perceived loss, just viewing it differently, viewing it in a way that will help you. And then understand, like pushing your comfort zone to the point where you become more comfortable within that. The comfort comes from the confidence, because you'll start to learn, especially in a game like real estate, there's so much that can go wrong. It is the ultimate reality TV. Like you don't need to watch the news, any type of reality TV. It's just wake up and do real estate. Yeah. Oh, the house is on fire. Oh, the tenant's complaining. Oh, like it will
I
just
shouldn't be
come
laughing,
right at you.
but
it's true. It happens. And this is when you go through this, you'll be put in situations that you think you can't solve, and then you'll solve them. And as you solve each situation, you become stronger from a confidence standpoint. And then you start to believe, I don't think there's any situation I can't solve in real estate. I don't think there's one. Even if I don't know what it is and it's never happened before, I'm confident I can solve this one because I solved the last 10. So getting that confidence from sticking with it, this is part of the winning mindset that I think a lot of people don't talk about. It's really just facing failure with confidence and understanding that there's value in failure, sometimes more value in the fail than the win.
So I can't possibly agree with you more. I've always been a very big believer that you learn more from failing than you do winning. Because it's like you said, like maybe it costs you $40,000 to fail, but for every time in the future that you don't make that same mistake, it's as if you're gaining $40,000.
Yeah.
Because you're not losing it because of the experience that you had. And I think especially with mentors, I think finding a mentor that has faced a lot of challenges and a lot of failures is something that is invaluable. Because it's like you said, your mentees now don't make those mistakes. They're gaining that $40,000 every time, but they never had to lose it initially because you lost it for them. And you're there to explain to them, this is how this mistake happens. Whereas if it's a mentor that has not experienced that mistake and all they've experienced is success, not to say that they don't deserve it or they wouldn't be a great mentor, but when pitfalls happen, they aren't as prepared as someone who's facing them. That's just the reality.
Yeah, they don't have the value to offer you. When you're going through a tough situation, you're like, hey, what do I do? They don't know because they haven't been there. They haven't pushed themselves in there. And there are a lot of successful people who haven't really faced adversity. They just had a nice, clean, ride, and it just kind of worked out for them. And they had lucky circumstances. But you do learn more from people who have failed. Those are your favorite mentors, because they can protect you at the highest levels, the multi-million-dollar levels. And that's how you can accelerate long-term. It's not how they say, it's not how good you're doing. It's how long you're doing good. And a good mentor who's failed, he'll keep you doing good for very long, because they'll just be able to guide you over a 20, 30-year path. Yeah,
because they know the hurdles that you might face. They're already prepared for them. They don't have to react once they get there. It's not a reaction. It's planning.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I think that's I agree with that a lot when it comes to building a winning mindset. And so looking forward a little bit, Obviously, you're very involved in real estate. Um, the affordable housing crisis in America, and the general state of real estate going into 2023 beyond, what does it look like, and how does that affect, I guess, your comfort level in doing what you do, and also just how you're planning to move forward in the future? I mean, so much has changed over the past few years, and
Yeah.
almost unprecedentedly.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I'd say it's been a wild ride since kind of March 2020
Yep.
when COVID really set in and people started shutting down, governments and cities, and lending institutions started to shut down. I know a guy, he went to sleep. He was going to wake up the next day and get a $10 million refinance, like $10 million a cash out refi. And he woke up and he got a call from the lender and he said, hey, the land trusts, they're not buying the debt anymore. The refi's dead. So, this game is like crazy. So like what happened to him and his whole business?
Yeah.
Where was that $10 million going to be spent? Because I'm sure at least 2 or 3 of it was going back into the business and, refueling things. It's definitely been a wild ride. So it's been like a real life, MBA in that sense. Like it's been a master class. But the market in the affordable housing space, you're constantly playing with like this supply and demand game within a market where there are millions of Americans that are living on their parents' couch or in the basement. Like
Very true.
Can't afford single family. They can't afford, a 3-bed, 1-bath. They can't afford even a 1-bed. So creating affordable housing as we're going into a recession is a really good thing to do, because in a recession, people choose alternative options that are more cost effective. So the demand for the product that I build has been increasing as we've gotten deeper into, COVID shutdowns, and then they're doing like helicopter money, quantitative easing. Now rates are going up and job losses are increasing. But as all of this stuff's happening, people are becoming more budget conscious and the demand has been very strong. And the type of affordable housing that I focus on is co-living. And co-living, to me, it directly addresses the needs of the working class, American. Somebody who might drive Uber or drive for Amazon, and they make, a couple thousand, $2,000-$3,000 a month. Where can they live comfortably, where they have their own space, and they can function and not be on that couch, not be in that basement, and really get out there and get their feet wet. And I focus on that workforce type of housing. And it's just been wildly successful. It's been like build it and they will come, truly.
So can you just tell me a little bit more about that product? Like how you came to realize that, hey, there is this need for it, and here is what I'm thinking, like here's my plan, and how you kind of even started that process.
Yeah, there's like it's like a fascinating layers to it, but I'm in tune with kind of like why I'm being put in front of people and having certain conversations, and I'll connect the dots. I have a buddy of mine who's a architect, Columbia contact. So just through friends of the family and Columbia connections. And he always talks about re-engineering like living spaces, how people work. He does commercial architecture. So he rebuilds corporate spaces for like startups. So it's like, hey, a startup, they use their business like this. They use their building like this. You can't just build some old traditional office space and then put a startup in it. It doesn't work. Yeah. So he got me thinking outside of the box. And when I started to apply that to how do people live today residentially and how can we reimagine it, I started thinking about co-living. And this will resonate with you because Philly. You go into a row home in Philly, you got the living room, the dining room, kitchen in the back. There's probably a staircase on the side of the house goes up. There's a bedroom in the front, bedroom in the back, bedroom in the middle, and then a bathroom somewhere in the middle, right?
Yeah,
typical 3-bed, like 1-bath row home. Now, if I full gut renovate that and flip the kitchen from the back to the front, now you open the door, you're in the kitchen. Behind that is a co-living unit, a bedroom and a bathroom, like a master suite where you can only get to the bathroom through the bedroom. Then when you go up those stairs, I full gut it into 2 co-living suites. Once again, 2 master suites, you can only get to a bathroom through a bedroom. Bathroom has like a stack washer dryer, stand-up shower, glass enclosure. Property has stainless steel appliances, hardwood floors, granite countertops. mini split systems for, efficient heat and AC. And you can rent, instead of renting that single bed, 3 bed, 1 bath for $1,250 a month, I can rent each co-living unit for $750 a month, utilities included, internet included. And now I have this product where this property was spitting out $1,250, now spitting out $2,250 a month. And people are living at a very affordable space, almost in like a studio space where they share the kitchen.
Yeah.
So it creates this workforce housing that doesn't exist, that's in a major city, Philly, the 6th largest city in America, and allows people to cohabitate a property and split these costs of living on your own in a way that makes sense and that undercuts the studio market in Center City. So if you could do this anywhere in the country, and I, started talking to my architect, my engineer, and my zoning attorney, and figuring out how to do this and remain, compliant with the city. And we just structured it and started building it. So I tenanted 100 of these units between March of 2020 and June of 2020, the peak of the pandemic, when people thought this thing was airborne. I'm not even going outside.
Yeah.
People were jumping into these co-living units like hotcakes, man. Like, it was just crazy. I've never seen demand for any real estate product like this.
So why is it so important to you?
It's important to me because I love rehab in blighted communities. Blighted communities, I grew up in the C-class area of Philly, and I have a passion for going back into communities that need development and just rehabbing them in ways that make sense and that create affordable housing. I mean, most major cities in America were built in the 1910s, 1915s. These properties are 100 years old. They need developers, people with that acumen who can come in. And the most eco-friendly way to build is not to blow up houses and go ground up because of the carbon footprint involved in that. It's to take the pre-existing structure and full gut renovate it in a way that makes sense and that creates affordable housing. So I love it. It creates jobs for people in the community. It brings people back into blighted neighborhoods and runs crime out of it, because the way to get rid of crime, put more eyeballs in a house, put more eyeballs in the community. That's more people to call the cops. That's more people to complain. That's more people to go to the politicians and write letters, and it runs crime out. Crime loves blight and vacancy.
Yeah.
Because then you can hide drugs in the house and do whatever you want and take over. So bringing people back also runs away crime out of these areas. And it's just what I love. I love building houses. I love helping people, which is why I got into financial planning. And I love creating jobs for, other people from the community. So it just has everything that I love. I also love the competitive nature of real estate, going and bidding against people and the action of building. It's just like sports, and you need teammates. I need contractors. I need electricians. I need plumbers. So you get back into this team sport environment as well. Blue collar. Yeah. It's just a ton of fun. So it has everything that I want out of life. So my dream is get up, meditate, work out, real estate. And that's what I live every day.
I love that. I mean, obviously it's very close to home for me in general. I didn't grow up in the city, but I have a lot of friends that did, whether it be from college or other means. But it's incredible. I mean, because I think the big thing there is it's not just that you're renovating these neighborhoods, it's that you're also just making them affordable. You're not making I feel like one of the biggest things that is often talked about is like renovating these neighborhoods, but then you're putting them out of reach of the people that have always lived there due to prices. And exactly what you said, the affordable housing crisis. And it's incredible the way you're trying to combat that. And I commend you for sure. And so that kind of brings me to your 100 Keys Masterclass. So obviously you've had all this success. You've made a point to rehab these neighborhoods. You like helping people. What is your 100 Keys Masterclass?
So, when you're having success at anything, people want to pick your brain. So you'll get the text, hey, let's get some lunch. Let's get a cup of coffee. And I found it to become increasingly more difficult as I was doing hundreds of deals. And, I've done over 300 full gut renovations at this point, and I'm actively doing deals now all over the country. Yeah. It's hard to take a decade's worth of game and give it to you in a cup of coffee. It was almost like a waste of everybody's time. So I went to the Bat Cave and I took all of my knowledge and said, how can I take somebody on the journey from no properties, no knowledge, no experience, just needing like the mindset and everything, to scaling up to like over 100 properties under the belt. And that's the 100 Keys Masterclass. That's why I named it 100 Keys, because I want every one of my mentees to get 100 sets of keys, 100 properties, 100 doors, and build that cash flow and financial freedom and generational wealth for their family. So that's my mentorship program where, if people want to learn how to go out and do this and break free from the 9 to 5 once and for all and retire into real estate, no matter if you're older, younger, when you're getting started, that's the program where I just break it all down for people in a setting that is easy to digest and, that is set up for you to get results.
That's incredible. I love the want and the need to give back to people. And exactly like what you said, like you're willing to get coffee with all these people, but a coffee can only sit there for so long before it goes cold. And
yeah,
it is tough because you are successful. And well, I mean, that's why you're ending up on podcasts all over the place is because people want to pick your brain.
Yeah.
So have you seen a lot of success from that program? And like, are people, I'm assuming that people are getting those 100 keys.
Oh yeah. Like it amazes me. I mean, we have people from all over the country, from out West, Hawaii, Salt Lake City, California, Texas. We got people from Canada tapped into U.S. real estate through the program. I've got, doctors, lawyers, dentists. We have a federal judge who's in the program, and he got in like March and started doing, he started talking to me about like Section 8 and building in his community and how to scale up. And long story short, I mean, he's done maybe 10 ground up deals since joining the masterclass, and it's just off and running. So it's the results that people are getting. It blows me away, even because I know the knowledge is powerful, but I'm also you've heard it. I'm very locked in on what I'm doing, but I know how to do a bunch. Like I know how to flip. I know how to do creative financing and subject to and lease purchase options. And I teach people everything, even though I'm focusing on like my main mission, but people will take, the creative financing sections and are like, Brian, I got 3 properties under contract for a lease purchase option. And I'm just like, man, people are out getting it done.
Yeah.
And there's so much opportunity out there. That's a question I get a lot. Why do you teach this instead of hoarding it? If you're successful, because there's so much opportunity out there, you can't step on my toes. In fact, I need more developers out there who can rehab these communities and neighborhoods and make money for themselves. So it doesn't hurt anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, real estate's been around since the beginning of the time. There's millions of foreclosures every year. There's millions of people that you can go out and help with deal structuring and add value to. So there'll never be a lack of opportunity in this game. So I just love teaching people how to fish and just sending them out there to go become a millionaire, go break free from the 9 to 5. I mean, I want people to have that lifestyle. It's not about the money. It's about being able to wake up, spend that time with your kids, pour into other people, and just do what you love kind of all day. So if you love real estate, then we share something in common. Now we both love real estate, and I want to give you the game so that you can get to the next level.
I love how passionate you are about it. I mean, I can see on your face how excited you get, not only when talking about real estate, but just talking about how you can help others and really live the lifestyle that most people want to live, where you do have that financial freedom, which is a great segue into, I believe, my final question that I love asking all my guests.
Nice.
And that is, what does financial freedom mean to you and why?
Financial freedom to me is just being able to do what you love all day, but also it's the point at which, from a technical standpoint, it's the point at which your bills, your monthly expenses are completely covered, and your income, your passive income, exceeds those monthly expenses. So once you hit that point, you are approaching and surpassing like financial freedom. So you're in that sphere, and then it's a question of how much further beyond that do you want to go in wealth accumulation. But it's just a general freedom to get up and do what you want all day. It's not all about business and becoming a millionaire, making money. But like what I love to do is get up, meditate, go to the park, work out, spend time with my kids, and having that freedom to do that, that's what's of value to me. I don't spend money. Like, I don't go out and buy fancy cars, and I don't like to travel all that much. I just love doing real estate. So I just stay focused in on my like little Zen area. And that's what financial freedom is to me. For some people, it's buying fancy cars and traveling and blowing money and showing off. And that's fine. For me, it's not. It's every dime I make, I put back into real estate, back into the game. And it's being free mentally, to be a free thinker and to help others to break free from whatever chains they have, on mentally or even financially, to just break free from that and see another path that they can go down. So I get, in some ways, more joy out of helping others and just building communities than anything, than the money, and even my own, sense of financial freedom. It's just being in that zone and being on the front lines and just helping people. So that's also a part of it for me.
That's a fantastic answer. And again, I love seeing and hearing your passion about it. And it's interesting, a lot of people, I think, when they think of it, they think of retiring and not working anymore. And like, it's very passive income. And you're right, that's both correct for some people and incorrect for others, but you just like putting it back into real estate. It doesn't sound to me like you want to have all of your time free. You want to continue to put everything into it while also having the freedom to spend time with your kids and your wife and whatever else.
Yeah, the most successful people in life, they work until they just drop, man. Like, they never stop working because they love it. Even if they don't love, like, you could be like a guy who's in the oil business. You might not love oil, but there's something about, they might just like the competition of just being in that game, and it just gets their blood flowing. And you just got to find whatever makes you tick, and then find a business model that allows whatever makes you tick to kind of come out and get applied. And I think that's what keeps me kind of addicted to this real estate thing. It replaced basketball for me. It replaced like my core passion. And I just want to give every minute to it. It's kind of how it is.
That's so very clear.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Well, Brian, thank you so much for joining me today. I really enjoyed talking to you. Please tell the listeners where they can find you, and if they want to get involved with you, how they would go about doing that.
Yeah. So you can find me on YouTube, Brian Loves Cash Flow. It's easy to remember because I love cash flow. So Brian Loves Cash Flow on YouTube. On Instagram, Brian Grimes _247 CFU for the 24/7 Cash Flow University. I'm on TikTok at Grimes Estate on TikTok. You can find me on LinkedIn, Brian Grimes Real Estate. And all of these channels I have backlinked so a free training for you guys, which is on www.workwithgrimes.com/cashflow. Workwithgrimes.com/cashflow. It's a free training that'll show you how to acquire properties for pennies on the dollar all across the country. You definitely don't want to miss out on that free training. So you can get a hold of me. You can schedule a call to get on the phone with me and my team. We can talk about how you can get started in real estate, how you can tap into the mentorship program. We even have a program that I don't talk about enough that we build houses for some of our people. So if you want a house built for you in Philly, whether you want to flip it or hold it, I can tap you into my resources. We'll help you to find a property. We give you access to our 100% lenders that'll give you 100% of the money to acquire and renovate the property. We put our guys on it that have done hundreds of deals. We full gut renovate it. We'll help you to tenant, property manage it, and have that mailbox money coming in. So we have that full service done for you model that, quite frankly, I should talk about more because it doesn't really exist out there. You'll find a lot of people talking about real estate and how great it is. And then if you ask them to build you a house, they'll just say, oh, we don't do that, because a lot of them are kind of full of it. But no, we'll build the house for you as well. And we're actively doing that for our people.
Incredible. Well, Brian, like I said, it was awesome to talk to you. I loved having another Philly guy on the show. It was a lot of fun, unlike this Sixers season is right now. But on behalf of myself, on behalf of Brian, and on behalf of Camaplan, thank you so much for listening. And please have a good one, and I will see you next week.